Hey friends, I am checking in with my writing journal. Got out of my writing sprint for the week just a short time ago, and I wanted to share a little bit about what I worked on. I'm excited. So I attended a conference. It was Women in Publishing Conference Live last week, and it was amazing. So if you are not associated or haven't heard of Women in Publishing and you are an author service provider, I highly recommend it. One of the presentations that I attended at the conference was talking about how your book isn't necessarily your product. It's more that your voice is that product. And thinking about the underlying message in your book. A business book is probably a little more obvious, but a fiction book might be a little less obvious, which is what I'm writing. And yet it got me thinking, because that underlying message is how you market your book and potentially how you can come up with like workshops or a talking point guide for book clubs or speaking opportunities, things like that, ways that you can tease out the messaging in your book to create other revenue streams, other products, get people interested, and also buy your book, hopefully. And so it really got me thinking about that. And during the session, I really got to thinking about the core of my book. And I put some thought into what is my message, even though this is just a fun book. This is a series that's magical fantasy. There's magic and the world is crumbling because someone got unhappy and things started falling apart and now we have to save the world. So how is there a message there? But as I thought about it during this presentation, I was like, oh my gosh, there is an underlying message here. And I think it could be very helpful in explaining the book to people or explaining the theme, if you will. Thank you, English teachers who taught us about themes. And it could really help people get excited about the book and about that underlying message. And so that's a bunch of backstory on what I did today in my sprint. I wanted to really think about what that meant for the series and for the storyline. And one of the things that I've been working on has been the idea that this was originally a book. So I had a start and an end and like a baseline storyline. But I didn't know in the very beginning when I had the initial idea that it was going to become a series. And so one of the things that I've worked on is you have to have the big story arc for the series, like what is going to get resolved, what's the conflict and what's going to get resolved by the end of the series, but also the individual books. What is the journey in each individual book and why are we there and how does it plug into the overarching storyline? But I've been struggling with it because, again, initially it was supposed to be one book. So I have an idea of the big story arc, but I don't have the little ones as much. It's not as obvious to me at this point. So I really put some thought into this underlying theme concept and how that can contribute to those individual storylines. So I played with that a little bit, and I really think I do need to do still some work on those individual storylines for each book, but I really think that this is going to be a driving factor, and I think that this is going to be something that I work on to help my readers. Again, there's got to be a little conflict in the book that gets at least a little bit resolved by the end of each individual book, but not enough that the big arch is unresolved. And so I think that is going to be the driving force in some of the little ones, but mostly that big arc, because we want people to, by the end of it, they feel that theme and they feel that they've gone through a story that teaches them a lesson about this theme. So it's interesting because it was already there. I didn't create this theme just to have one. It was there. And the other interesting thing is I had a really great conversation with a friend yesterday, new friend, and we talked a little bit about this concept, and she pointed out that one of the reasons why it was so easy to identify that, and side note, the theme is one of my kind of core principles. that I talk about all of the time. And that has been a driving force literally in my life and how I have designed my life. So it's not only one of my core principles as a business, but also as a human and now as a writer. And oh my gosh, that is so cool. And what we talked about when I talked to my friend yesterday, it was like, I can't help myself because that theme, that concept is so strong within me. It is pervading every part and every aspect of my life because it's so intrinsic to me. And so I think that's really gonna add. I already love magical fantasy, and it's already really fun to be doing all the world building and creating language and creating characters and creating a magical infrastructure. Like, what is the magic in this world, and what does it do, and what's its purpose, and what does it come from? All of that. It is so much fun to create those things. And now I am really excited about thinking about not just the fun of it, which is so important, but also the lesson, like that underlying lesson that I want people to feel as they're going through this adventure. So again, I think my English teacher would be very proud. And I'm not sure if all of the authors that I read in high school put this much thought into the themes of their book, or if English teachers just make that stuff up. But at this point, I feel like it's real. Oh, I don't know if that makes me a better author or it's just going to make it easier for me to sell the book, but I'm really excited about this revelation, and I think it's going to really help with my storytelling as well as how to share the message of my book out with the world and get people excited about it. Yeah, not a lot of writing progress per se, but as far as my journey as an author, I think this was big. And I'm really excited for it. So hopefully you get what I'm saying, because I'm trying not to, I don't want to spoiler alert too much until I know what I want my spoilers to be and what I want to share. So any authors out there who are in their own journey, maybe it's helpful, maybe it's an interesting thing to consider, but that is what I have today for my writing journal in this writing journey. And I hope it was enjoyable, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for joining. Bye.